Hey everybody, my name is Carrie. Today is April 16th, 2021, Friday, and welcome to my channel. This is my little corner of YouTube where I talk mostly about some fiber arts, some knitting, some quilting, and other crafts that I get into, and I appreciate you being here. It's been a while, and it's been a crazy last 6 weeks since I last came on here. And in the meantime, since last time, I've started back to work. I work at a school, and I was laid off after everything shut down last year of COVID, and I returned almost a year later in March. And it's taken me a little while to adjust. Part of the reason is because now I am working at 5:30 in the morning, so I get up around 4:15 if I'm lucky. And that's been a really, really hard adjustment for me. My body just doesn't do those kind of hours very well. So I have felt extremely tired in the afternoon, sort of like a walking zombie. Like every afternoon I feel like I need to nap, and I'm afraid to nap because then I don't think I'll fall asleep at night, and I'm usually asleep by 9 o'clock at night. I'm like one of those old people that needs to eat early and go to bed early. So it's been an adjustment, and so it's been real hard to feel like I can come on here and be not looking like I need to go to bed. Plus, after working and wearing a mask for several hours, it's just like I just feel really drained and whatever. But I'm back to work, and it's all good, and I've adjusted, and it's only till the end of the school year, and then I think next year, fingers crossed, if everything goes well over the summer, I'll go back to my regular job and my regular hours, but we'll see what happens. So last time I was on here, it was back the end of February, and I had talked about a quilt that I had ordered, a quilt kit. I have since gotten the kit, put it together, quilted it, and it's all done. So I made a Storm at Sea quilt. I bought the kit from johnflynncompany.com or something. I will put the link to his website down below with anything else that has links. I put all that stuff in the description box. But this is the Storm at Sea. This is the quilt that I made. Oh, sorry. Got to remember not to do that. So the quilt kit came with all the fabric I needed to make the top. It didn't include any backing or binding, and it was all pre-cut. It was laser cut, which was awesome. I knew that from the picture that was basically the colors I wanted, and it was really nice to just open the package and all I had to do was just start sewing. So I really liked that. I liked the fact that it was just all done. It just made it really easy. Now, it's not a very big quilt, so it didn't take me a terribly long time to do it. But the Storm at Sea quilt isn't made up of a specific block. It's just a kind of a combination of blocks that make that design. And if you play with colors ever so carefully, you can make other designs within the quilt based on how you place your colors. Now, I didn't do that because I didn't pick out the colors. I didn't want to try and figure that all out. I just wanted to put it together, and I think it's great. I love it. But basically, it's made out of two blocks. So this is a square and a square and a square. So it's made up of this size and one that's bigger, and then the diamond rectangle. So like for instance, this diamond was pre-cut, and then these triangles, these odd-shaped triangles are pre-cut, and you just sew them together. And so when you put all this stuff together, it gives you the Storm at Sea quilt. I've always wanted to make one. I do want to try someday to play around with the color scheme. I mean, you even can see on the picture, they did this block right here, this area right here, and they kept the background fabric the same, so that kind of stands out. And like I said, I just didn't want to, it wasn't that important for me to do that on this quilt. I quilted it with the pantograph with it, that's just got some kind of wavy lines. It gives it some movement with a variegated thread so it matches all the colors. I happen to have half a yard of a blue batik that went perfectly with this that I bought at a quilt show, you know, probably 8 years ago or something. So that was really nice. So now I just need to make a sleeve and sew a sleeve on the back, which I'll hand sew on. And then it's ready to hang, and it's going to hang downstairs in my living room area. Since we repainted, I talked about it all last time. So that'll be really neat. I love it. I'm really happy that it's done, and I'm happy that it went really well. One of the things that I did with this quilt, because you've got thicker seams and you want everything to kind of lay pretty flat, you know, like these seams in the corners can get kind of thick, is I had Jim make me a clapper. Now, a clapper is a piece of wood, a heavy piece of wood that you put on a seam after you've pressed it to weigh it down. It absorbs the heat and makes your seam flatter. So I just had Jim cut me a piece of wood that he had out in his shop. I believe this is walnut, and so it's a little bit heavier. And I had him make it about 13 inches so that if I was doing a 12-inch block or something like that, this would be able to reach across the whole width of the block and hold a seam. So what I did is I would press my seam, put this on it and set it aside, press the next one, and just in those few seconds, this would absorb the heat, take it off, put it on the next one, and just did assembly line, and it kept everything laying really flat. So nothing fancy, just a piece of wood. It needs to be heavier, so you can't use pine or something like that. That's not quite heavy enough. And he just sanded it so that the edges are all smooth and stuff, and so now I have a clapper. And I'll use it for other stuff because it worked really well without having to do much fussing. So when I was working on that, I think I was still working on it, and I saw this designer. She's a quilt designer, and she designed fabric. I'm not sure exactly what all she does, but she designed some fabric that I just really, really liked, and I've seen it on her Instagram for a long time, and I just kept thinking, I really love that, really love it. So she was selling fat quarter packs and half yard packs and stuff like that out off of her website, which is sassafraslane.com. And I bought her favorite things collection. So rainbow colors, and then there's some neutral whites. And what it is, what I like about it so much is that there's, the design is pretty minimal. It's like a tonal, and then you've got a little icon or a little design in there of her favorite things. She likes to travel. She likes music. I like all these things too. Some plants, like the forest, animals, duplicates on the different colors, coffee, flowers, kayaking, and then the rest of them have pretty much the same thing. Like this white one that's got a little bit of pink on it. So I'm really excited to use them in something, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to use them in, but I had pre-ordered a quilt pattern book from fatquartershop.com. They have the Lori Holt her new book, Kaleidoscope quilt or something like that, and I really liked the look of the quilt. That I thought, oh, I'll make that, but I don't know what the fabric requirements are for it because the book hasn't been published or hasn't been released, and it's supposed to be released like mid to end of May. So I thought, well, this could be that might work really well with it. I also have this yardage of fabric that's just a gray mottled fabric that I thought looked really good with the bright colors, not so good with the lights, but depending on how I use them in the pattern, I don't know. I'll have to see when I get the book if that'll work. I may need to buy some other fabrics. I may go completely different direction. I don't know. I haven't gotten the book yet. But that was I was really happy to get that. It was the colors were a lot brighter when I got them. I was like, okay, that's really bright, but I think it could look really cool done in the right pattern. So that's possibly going to be my next one. I'm not sure. I'm going to go away with friends on a quilt retreat in May, and I don't really have a quilt that I'm going to work on. I don't know. I have some other crafts that I might take and just do that. We're just going for a couple of days to the beach, and so we'll see what I decide to work on. I know for sure I'll bring my knitting, and I might bring some other crafts, but I might sew. I don't know. I'll see what I feel like doing. I have done some knitting. Like I have mentioned in the past, I have been knitting sock tubes on my Brother flatbed knitting machine with a ribber. And I've been wanting to make Jim a pair of socks, but he wears a size 13, and I'm just not into that much knitting. I'm sorry, because I'm not sure if he would wear them. So far, he hasn't worn anything that I make him. I don't know why. He picks up a hat that we found when we were hiking, and he wears that instead of the one that I knit for him. So whatever. And I didn't know how long to make them or whatever. So my friend Aaron's got the same size feet, told me how long he makes them. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do it on my knitting machine, because then I'm not having to do all that knitting. I just have to put the heels, toes, and cuff on. And so I did. So I knit this with Opal, and it is, I think Opal just does a number. This is yarn that I picked up on the one and only yarn crawl I did, and Jim drove me around to all the shops. I did it myself because I didn't have knitting friends at the time. Now I'm blessed to have knitting friends. So I did it by myself, and he just drove, and he would drop me off at the store, and I'd run in and do a little shopping, got my passport stamped, buy a skein of yarn from each shop. And so this is some yarn that I bought doing that. And I happen to have this color, which was one of my dyed colors. This was Rain Cloud. That went really well for the heels and toes. I just did the Opal for the cuff. So I knew how long I wanted them to be, and I took a sock that I've already knitted on my machine and did like the row count and figured I needed so many rows to get to that many inches. And then when I took it off, it was like, that's too long. I think it's too long. So I just did one, kind of tried it on as we went, figured out where I needed to put things. And I did not try and make them match, but they kind of match. I mean, they're kind of lined up, and I didn't try to do that. It just happened for the most part. So, I don't know that I would use Opal again. I had 2 knots in it, and that really messed things up. So that kind of, I don't like that. I mean, 1 knot I get, but 2 knots, it's like, come on, you're doing a pattern sock, and that kind of messes things up. But he doesn't care, and like I said, I don't know if he'll even wear them. He won't wear them now till the weather gets cold, because now we're like summer all of a sudden. It's going to be 80 today and like 85 over the weekend. But they fit him, and he does like him. He was actually pretty excited about it, because I wasn't going to tell him, but I thought I need him to try it on to see if this is fitting him and stuff. So I had to tell him, and he was pretty excited about it. So size 13 men's sock, 72 stitches. I did 8 inches for the foot, I think, 7.5 to 8 inches, and then added the toe and the cuff, or the toe and the heel. Just an afterthought heel, no special anything, and then like an inch cuff or something. So those are done for him. So those will get put away, and we'll see if, crash, just a second. So we went camping last weekend, which was really, really nice. Actually, I think I'm going to put some pictures in the beginning of this so that you can see, because it was just really cool. We like to try and go camping like April-ish, and we go more central to eastern Oregon, because it's drier and starts to get warmer. And you want to go spring before it gets too hot, because it gets pretty hot over there. But what a lot of people don't realize is that most of Oregon is pretty dry and deserty, like high desert. The western half of the state is wetter, lots of forest and stuff like that. But you get over the Cascade Range and it's pretty flat and pretty dry. And anyway, there was a newer state campground that we've been wanting to try. We had plans to go last year. Everything shut down, so we decided to try and go this year. And it was Cottonwood Canyon State Park, and it's on the John Day River. It's central to the state, but northern. Like Bend is pretty much right in the middle of Oregon. Oregon's almost a square. And it's more north than that, but it's central as far as back and forth. Anyway, we went. It was wonderful. We had a great time. It was, there's so much beauty even when it seems dry and deserty. We did a nice hike up the John Day River. There's a trail that just follows the river, goes back about 4.5 miles. And we went as far as we could go, turned around and came back, saw some golden eagles, which are stunning. So golden eagles are the size of like a bald eagle, which is a very big bird, but they look brown. But when it was flying, we had binoculars so we could see it closer. But when it's flying and all its wings are out and everything, and the sun hits it, it looks like they're gilded in gold. The sun reflects it as a gold, and they're beautiful. So we were able to see a couple of those. Really hoping to see some bighorn sheep, which we didn't see. Kind of hoping to see a rattlesnake, which we didn't see. We didn't bring Violet because of the fact that there's rattlesnakes over there, and there's a lot of ticks in the area because it's that drier climate. So she got to spend the weekend over at Robert and Michael's and got to play all weekend, and we picked her up on Sunday. She was exhausted, which was fantastic. She had a really good time and did really well. That was her first time of spending the night at somebody else's house, and she did really good. So I knew I wanted to knit while I was camping, so I quickly knitted up a tube on my knitting machine for myself, and I've pulled out some yarn that I've set aside. Like, these are going to be my socks that I'm always going to have a pair of socks to just grab to do that easy knitting of just throwing in a toe and a heel and stuff. So this is from Desert Vista Dye Works. The colorway is Harley's Jazz Hands. I don't remember what that's referencing. I got this probably a couple of years ago, and I almost was going to use this yarn. Those of you that have been around a while, remember when I knitted my sock arm sweater, and I contemplated using this as the sleeves, but I decided to do socks with them. And I think they're beautiful. They're really cool. So I've got the other tube cranked or knitted up, and I just have to insert my toes and stuff. So I just use the same yarn wherever it is and put in the heel, toe, and cuff. And I've done this several times, and I don't know why. I just get on, like, I'll start with the toe, and then I'll do the heel, and then I'll get to the cuff, and I start the cuff and make another toe. And so I did this, completely Kitchener knit and everything, and went to go stick my end through, was going to stick my hand in the sock, and I'm like, I have a sock with two toes. So I ripped that all out so that I could do a cuff. I don't know why I do that. I think I need to start with the cuff. I think because your heel and your toe are pretty much the same, and it's like just kind of on autopilot. But yeah, I really like these. So these, I do my sock 64 stitches, and I mark when I'm knitting it on my machine where I want the heel. I through trial and error, I know how many rows I need to do before I mark where my heel goes, and it just makes it so pleasant. Now, when I bound this off, I just did where you knit through the back loop of two, and I tried to keep it really loose, but I made it too loose, I think. It's like a little floppy, but once it's on my leg, it'll be fine. But I think I got a little carried away with how loose I need to make it. So I've got the next one to do, or the other sock to do. This has been really enjoyable for me to do these socks. I've just really liked being able to pick it up and just, I don't have to really think about it. Just like knit a little bit. It's a small project. It's great for taking along and stuff like that. So I worked on that with camping. I have almost finished my Bright Note sweater. So this is a sweater I started at the beginning of the year, and I got the body done and had started to knit the sleeves and realized the sleeves were coming out too tight. I have a feeling either my gauge changed or something, because the sweater was supposed to have all this extra ease based on my gauge, and it fits. It doesn't have all that extra ease. So I don't know what the deal is. I still haven't blocked it yet because I'm not completely done, but I'm almost there. So what I've got is, it's an eggplant purple, and then I've got the color work on the bottom, which the pattern calls for baubles, and I just decided to do dashes, and it's the same on the sleeve. I think I made my sleeves a little bit too long. I don't know. It's good. And all I have left to do now is the ribbing on the collar. And so now I'm like past worsted weight sweater weather here. It's not going to I mean, mornings are pretty chilly still, but it's not going to be cold enough for me to wear a sweater like that. So I'm not in a big hurry to finish it, but I need to get it done so that I can block it, and then it's ready for me in the fall. But I like the sweater. I wanted it to be a little bigger, looser, and maybe it will loosen up when I block it. But it was an enjoyable sweater to make. I'm gravitating more towards this kind of stuff right now. I had picked up some yarn from a friend, and I think I showed you guys the big skeins. I'm going to just show you a couple of the skeins. They're in my bag. This is an awesome granny bag. See those big skeins? So I'm trying to swatch because I had an idea of making a pattern that I got when it first came out to support the designer. It's called the Modulancho. And it's a poncho. And I thought, well, let me make a poncho with this. Something that's not so fitted, that maybe I'll wear that more often than a sweater, because I just don't get that cold. And so I've tried 3 different needle sizes. And then I thought I could stripe these 2 colors. And I'll put a picture of the pattern up here, and you can see how the color goes. This would be the center panel, and then I have another color, they're two of the same color but like different dye lots, so I will alternate skeins, and it's more of this like corally orange color. And I thought that would look really pretty, but then I'm afraid, is it just going to make me look like a big clown or something? I don't know. I'm just not sure I'm feeling it. And I'm not sure, I mean, this yarn came to me with no label. I know it's Blue Moon Fiber Arts, and we're thinking it might be BFL. And I know it's got 600 and something yards per skein. I think it's like a heavy sport to light DK, and that pattern is for fingering weight. So I'm trying different needle sizes to get a fabric that I like, which I think this was on an 8, and I think the fabric would drape really well. So I need to just take my stitch count and row count on this and like work it into the pattern. I think the pattern's pretty easy to kind of change stitch counts and stuff like that. So I'm thinking this would be a really good color for me. I just don't want to look like I'm wearing a circus tent. So I don't know, but that's kind of a maybe. And it was either that or make another one of these cranberry ghosts. Excuse me. I made this in a blue, like a navy blue. And I do like it because it is short sleeved, so I can just wear a long sleeve t-shirt and it's not too terribly hot. But it is kind of like here, and I feel like if it's just a little bit bigger to let some air, that's why I thought maybe the poncho. So I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. I'm sort of back and forth on either one of those. I really want to try a poncho, and then I think, do I just do it out of fingering weight? I could do that with the Barnyard Knits yarn that I got a while ago. I could make the poncho out of that, which would be really neat. So I'm still trying to sort of figure out what I want to do. Something else I made. So back a few months ago, I talked about how I did some ice dyeing, like November, December. And I had some pieces of fabric that were from my first attempt, and I wanted to make something with it. So after I finished quilting this quilt, since I had my machine all warmed up and it was going, I decided to quilt one of the pieces of fabric. It was a 1/2 yard piece of fabric. And then I thought, oh, this would make a really neat tote bag. And I didn't really want to cut it up. And so I just used the size of the fabric once I squared it up and stuff. And I made a giant tote bag. So this thing is really big, but it's with that ice dyed fabric. And I just did like a stacked coin kind of quilting on it. I happen to have this kind of orange fabric for the straps. And I did a vinyl bottom because it's good to sit in the dirt or whatever. And I made a giant tote. So, you know, I thought, oh crap, that kind of turned out big. In fact, I started to make it because I wanted to send it to Aaron and Chip as a giveaway or a prize for their bingo. And once I got it done, I'm like, it's too big for that. And I liked it too much to give it away. So I kept it. So sorry guys, I'll have to send you something else next time. But this was really nice because when we went camping, I brought my quilt to bind. So that went in here and a couple of project bags, and it carried a lot. And that was all my craft stuff. So I did put some pockets in there, and yeah, it's pretty nice. So I'm pleased with it, and I'll use it. It's just a very big tote bag, which was fun. I'm going to do some more ice dyeing. I bought some fabric. I bought a bolt of fabric that's PFD, and it's prepared for dyeing. So it's a fabric that when you get PFD fabric, it doesn't have any sizing. It doesn't have anything on it. So like when I did that was some muslin that I had, and I had to pre-wash it a couple times to get the sizing all out of it, because you don't want anything to be a barrier between the dye and the fabric. So when you buy PFD fabric, it doesn't have any of that on it already. And it's white. This is more of a cream color because it's muslin, unbleached muslin. So I've got the fabric. I'm waiting for my ice maker to make more ice so that I have enough, and I'm thinking I might be able to do some tonight. But I have some ideas of some things I want to do with the ice dyed fabric, because I have a quilt pattern that I purchased that I've just loved, and I don't know, maybe I should use this sassafras stuff. Anyway, this new pattern that I got is a big dragonfly, and there's some applique, there's some paper piecing, there's some straight piecing. It's just kind of cool. And I thought about dyeing fabric for it, and maybe I don't know. I'm really undecided about it. I have to dye the fabric. I'm going to dye the fabric, and then we'll see what it looks like to see if it's something I can use. So I'm going to be playing around with that here in the next few weeks. And we'll see what happens with that. When I went back to work, so my coworkers and I, we were going to get together at the Christmas time and exchange gifts, but COVID, so we didn't. And so when I went back to work, I got Christmas presents, which was really nice, and it felt kind of weird because it wasn't nowhere near Christmas. But one of the things, and I got some lovely gifts, and one of the things that I got, which is kind of fun because I would not have bought this for myself, is a diamond painting. So you hear of diamond painting. I kind of knew what it was, but it didn't seem like anything I'd want to try. But I thought, I got this as a gift and I'll try it. And I haven't gotten very far because I have not put really any time into it. But I don't know if you can tell. So it's a big mandala, all in pinks and purples and blues. And I've done this little corner. So this canvas is very sticky. It has a sticky adhesive on it. And I'm going to pull the plastic up a little bit in the corner. So you get these little beads, and it's like paint by number. You're like, this number of bead goes on this little dot, and they just stick on there. Well, there's no instructions that come with it, so I had to watch a YouTube video to see how you do it. And my little pouch that I made with ice dyeing, it's perfect for all my little things. So I have a bunch of these little Ziploc bags that I got years ago when we did our PCT hike, because we put our vitamins and stuff in there. So I just put all the little beads in there with the number, because they came in little baggies, but they weren't resealable. And then you get this little tray for your beads, and you get this little applicator thing, and then you got this little, I didn't know what this was. I'm like, is it an eraser? Like, what is it? So watching the video, it is like a sticky goo. I don't know what else to say. And you dab it onto the end of your little applicator, and that's what sticks the beads to this, and then you put it on the corresponding number on the canvas. It's pretty relaxing to sit and do. I just haven't been, I've been so tired. I haven't been able to even do this because I think I would fall asleep. I don't know that I'll do more of them. I'm going to try and finish this one. I just don't know if the end product is something that I'm going to love. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to try and finish it. Yeah, we'll see. So I was working on that for a little bit. As far as new yarn goes, I have some yarn on order from Natty Bow Yarn Co. That should be coming pretty soon. But Dogstar Knit started dyeing yarn again. So Jake, I love Jake, and he dyed yarn and then stopped because of life situation and started up again. And he also makes really gorgeous interchangeable crochet hooks. So he has an Etsy shop, and I will link to it below, but he's dyeing yarn, and like, come on, that's me. You should have just named this Carrie because it's me. So I got that. It is called that. I'm not sure how to say the top word, but it's Oddities and Experiments. And I don't know what it's based off of, but I love the colors. He does these laser cut. I think they're laser cut. I'm not sure because I don't do it. But he has little this and then plastic. And he's etching, I guess it's laser etched. I don't know. Whatever. He's doing tags for like geocaching. That was something else we were going to do. We were going to geocache when we went camping. We got a new GPS because ours was really old and very outdated. And so we're like, oh, this will be fun. Now this new GPS can, help us with the geocaching and stuff. And then we just didn't do it. I don't think there were any in the canyon. But we did go out and drive around and see some other nearby towns and stuff one day. And we just forgot to do it. So we plan on doing that a little bit more this summer. But anyway, he has tags for that. And I'll link to his shop and stuff. So that's going to be something special because I love it. And then from my sweater, I had bought the Chroma Twist in 3 different colors. So I have Fathoms, which I think was the green and blue. I have Sedona, which is like sunset kind of color. And I have Lupin, which is pinks and purples. And I didn't use very much of it. It really used so little. So I have like 80, some of these are 81, 82, and there was one, this purple didn't use as much. I don't know why. Then I think I'm going to just knit some hats with it because it'll be a gradient. So the worsted weight, just knit some hats with my leftovers. And I think that's it for today. So thank you so much for stopping by and hanging in there with me, and keep on crafting. I hope the weather's getting nice and springy for you, and if you like gardening, that's going to start up pretty soon. I will catch you guys next time, hopefully with maybe a quilt in progress. So we'll see. So thanks again for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.